first spring is here. T-shirt weather at the end of February. We're the 28th today. And I can't believe it. Everybody's enjoying the outside. Everybody's out here. And I thought it was a good time to walk through our first winter and what worked and what didn't. So let's start with the equipment shed that we built this fall. So the main goal behind this shed was to store our winter snow clearing equipment so we could keep this driveway clean all winter without having to lug it from way in the backyard. And you know, the old snow plow or our John Deere tractor we had just wasn't gonna be able to make that. So really happy with how this shed worked and the storage of the snow clearing equipment. We have a roof. Let's chat now snow clearing equipment. So the main thing we had purchased originally was the John Deere 332 with the hopes of it taking over all of the snow clearing here on the driveway. Ultimately, we found that we were building up some pretty big piles along the edge of the driveway and we needed something to throw that snow off into the distance. So we added the Ariens Deluxe, or Ariens, I was told I'm saying that wrong, the Ariens Deluxe 24. And it's been awesome. We did snap a shear pin. Thank you guys for making that comment in one of our past videos. But those two units together were awesome for snow clearing all winter long. So let's head off down what is going to be the future driveway out to the front garden area. We've got some crazy traffic today. Apparently a propane tank rolled over on the main highway and they are directing everybody down our road to get around that, which is wild because we've never seen traffic like this before in this area. So continuing down what is going to be the future driveway over to the shop area and to our main garden, we have our first garden bed. That's a problem right there. We'll talk about in a second. And we've got our second garden bed that we built up here, and it's been perfect. I've had zero issues with this one whatsoever. It is performing and melted exactly how we thought it was. The big issue so far is on this side, and the movement of water that is doing a little bit more than I expected it to. So as you can see, we have a bit of a river making its way through this second garden bed. Now, I guess in hindsight, I shouldn't be all that surprised about it, seeing as how it is coming from a higher area of our property and moving down to a lower area. What I am a little bit surprised about it though is just how much water is moving through that area, considering we have another lowish area up in here and it's not filling up at all. So basically this whole front area was just a big, let's call it glacier most of winter, where it would melt, it'd form solid ice. And now it's just kind of migrating its way down the yard and through this main garden. And you can see we've just got a nice active flow of water through everything. I'm trying not to step in here as I move through everything. And we've got a bit of a problem that we're gonna have to solve. Now, this water ultimately makes its way all the way down the future driveway and ends up in a puddle over there. The nice thing about all that water behind us is that it's making its way to the pond. So that's positive number one if we want to look at it that way. The downside is I'm gonna have to deal with that somehow because it's gonna happen year after year and it's just gonna wipe out the garden bed eventually. So I think we're gonna be figuring out some sort of drainage solution when we put in the driveway to move that water down to the pond area. If you've got any ideas there, I'm all ears. So like I said, a bit of a positive because it's moving towards that pond. Now, in our last video, you saw me clear this entire area of snow over to the pond. Well, I'm actually happy to say that it kind of worked. We have a pretty good start of water building up in this pond from just that snow. And based on how all of that snow is melting and then puddling here and moving over into the pond, I think it's gonna fill up even further. So we've obviously had a few wins this year and we've got a couple spring setbacks that we're gonna have to deal with, but we have some plans on how we're gonna go about it. Now, one other big win for the year was how much firewood we were able to store up for this coming summer. I'm happy we were able to put that Husqvarna saw to use. Oh, we've got some big trucks heading down the road that we don't normally see. We don't normally hear those engine retarder brakes. Anyways, happy we were able to put that Husqvarna to use. Happy we were able to put that Husqvarna saw to use. It's nice when you spend money and actually use it as opposed to just looking at it on a shelf and arguing with people on the internet about whether it's good or not. One of our other big fall projects we tackled was completely redoing this shed. So it used to be white, old, made out of OSB, literally growing stuff on the inside. It was rather gross. And we were able to completely rebuild it one wall at a time and clad it out in the same metal as that front shed that you can't see but is up that way. So we have some matching storage sheds on the property, and I'm really happy with how it all looks. Now, as we pan over this way, if you watched any of our fireside chat videos, you used to see a greenhouse sitting here. And, well, as you can see, it's not anymore. We assembled that greenhouse while we moved it from our old house and kind of put it together rather quickly just to have it out and out of the way. And we didn't actually get a chance to anchor it into the ground fully. Well, the other night we found out that that wasn't great because we had some serious wind roll through, and well, our greenhouse is over there now. So the wind picked the greenhouse up, flipped it completely over this fence, and flattened it in a pile there. I have taken it mostly apart at this point into its separate walls and just piled it up so that we wouldn't lose any of the polycarbonate panels. But needless to say, we're without a greenhouse. This has prompted us to completely rethink the kitchen garden area. Originally, we were gonna have the greenhouse here, some raised beds for just herbs and lettuces and greens, stuff that we could easily come down from the house and grab. But that's gonna have to change because, well, obviously it's not a great place for the greenhouse. I think even if it was anchored, it was probably getting flipped. Just the way it was constructed, it wasn't constructed for acreage life. It was constructed for a nice backyard area in the city that didn't see a lot of that wind. But needless to say, we're gonna have to rebuild it, rethink the kitchen garden, and I think the plan in the next couple weeks is to build it out in this area. It's a little bit more protected, a little bit closer to the house, and should mitigate some of those wind problems that we saw the other night. So as we move to the other side of the yard there, you can see we also lost a few shingles. I got to do a little more cleanup from that wind. The old owners had an insurance claim for some hail damage back in the end of summer. And what ended up happening is they redid our roof in like November, and I don't think the asphalt shingles had enough time to really set up on the roof and kind of glue themselves down with those, I think it's tar strips on the back of them. And a couple big windstorms this winter ripped off a few on one side about a month ago, and then we had an hour of like 90 to 100 kilometer hour gusts, and it ripped off a few more on the other side. I actually crawled up on the roof to nail down the remaining ones so we didn't lose any more. But the company that installed it in November is now coming back to fix it again. Coming up from the future kitchen garden, we have what I consider to be, I don't even know what to call it, a deck, steps. I don't know how much you can tell on this video, but it is severely sloped from the house over there to the stairs over here. This deck, it's a problem. It's definitely something we're gonna have to deal with this year. At least I think we're gonna have to deal with this year. It wasn't built well, and quite frankly, it felt a little unsafe at times in winter when we'd walk down the stairs or walk out because of that white paint. I don't know what kind of paint they use, but man, is it slick. I think we're gonna have to deal with that this year. I'm not gonna call it a fail because it wasn't ours. It was just something we inherited with the house, but it's definitely something that needs to be rebuilt. The last big thing I wanted to talk about is something you guys don't know about at all, but something that we're going to be doing this summer, and that is this area of the yard is going to be getting a big addition. So let me back that out a little here. We're going to be bringing a breezeway off the side of the house over here into a big long gable structure on this side. It's going to be a big addition, a big renovation project for us, and I'm curious if it's something you guys want to watch or hear about or know about. If you guys want us to film it and sort of bring you along for the addition ride, bring you along for the shop build, all of those sorts of things. I'm also really interested to know if you guys have any ideas for the property, things that we're overlooking, advice on how to build roads, for example, advice on how to move water and grade and build swales, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. I really appreciate the feedback you guys have given in different videos. You know, telling me I broke a shear pin on the snowblower was really helpful. It's just not something I had noticed, and it makes complete sense why I was having so much trouble pushing it there at the end. The advice on the tractor, getting some grips on it in the middle of winter. I really appreciate a lot of that feedback. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about this, our future plans for the summer, kind of the wins and losses we've had from this winter, or some of our experiences so far. And that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. Kind of it's summer. Well, not really. It's barely spring. It's kind of still winter. It's fall, spring. But I'm in a t-shirt and I'm enjoying it. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.